Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to the Infatuasian podcast. We're going to have a really fun chat with Lauren Yee today. Lauren is a playwright and a screenwriter from San Francisco, California, currently living in New York City. But we'll have a really fun chat. We'll talk to her in a second. But before we get into her plays, I wanted to talk to you about some exciting things we're doing here in San Francisco. On March 14th, mark your calendars, Friday, March 14th, we are doing an interview and a pop-up concert with Corner Club live. So you might have heard my interview with them, Mike and Sav. They're really, really great. And they're going to be doing a little mini show over at On Waverly, our favorite bookstore down in Chinatown, San Francisco. And it's going to be on Pie Day, 314. So their friend Julia makes pies. And so Julia's going to bring some pies down there that you can buy by the slice. And so I'm going to be interviewing Mike and Sav about their music and their careers. And they're going to play some songs for us. So March 14th, come down to On Waverly. And then a week later, 8 days later, on March 22nd, that's a Saturday, we are doing something really fun. We are doing something called the March Madness of Chinese Cuisine, which is going to be a fun thing where we are going to create some mock battles between different Chinese dishes. We're not going to actually be eating these dishes, so don't get too excited. But we're going to be creating this bracket of dishes, and then these dishes are going to go head to head, and we're going to have an audience, hopefully you, vote on which dish is the best. And so we need a live audience to come down to On Waverly to help us vote. So that's on March 22nd, totally free. Come on down to On Waverly at 6 p.m. We're going to be doing this live event with our fellow podcasters, Frisia and Sam, over from the Worst Quality Crab podcasts. So that's going to be really fun. But I know some of you are not in San Francisco, but you will also be able to participate online. So I'll have a Zoom link, which you can click on and come join us that way. And you also get to vote. So the voting is done live. So again, it's going to be 6 p.m. Pacific time here in California. So if you live anywhere in the world, you can participate. It might be 3 a.m, but you are welcome to participate. So keep your eyes on our Instagram for those announcements, but mark your calendar. So next Friday, March 14th, come down to listen to Corner Club. And then Saturday, March 22nd, come down to vote on your favorite Chinese dishes. And so without further ado, let's get into our chat with Lauren. Hey, Lauren.
Hi, Curtis. How are you?
I'm good. So excited to talk to you.
I was like, is that a Seaclo shirt?
It is.
Amazing. Oh, my God.
I had to put it on. No, I had to put it on. Super excited to talk to you today.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I've been wanting to talk to you for a while, but I actually, haven't seen any of your plays until about 2 weeks ago. So I got to go see.
Wow.
I know. I've been waiting because I always get it after it leaves, or the timing just doesn't work out.
Yeah. Are you in LA or the Bay Area?
I'm in San Francisco.
Mm.
So, my sister lives in LA, so I had somewhere to stay. So I did a quick little President's Day weekend trip down to LA. But yeah, so glad I did.
Thank you for making the trip. I was like, the actors probably loved your energy.
Oh yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I was feeling it too.
Yeah.
That show is all about energy. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. But yeah, fantastic. All right, so let's see. We'll just get into it, and we'll talk a little San Francisco, if that's okay with you, and talk a little playwriting, stuff like that. All right, let's do it. My guest today is Lauren Yee. Lauren Yee is a playwright and screenwriter, born and raised in San Francisco, California. Lauren has written over 10 plays, including Cambodian Rock Band, Ching Chong Chinaman, and The King of the Yees, and many more. They've been produced all over the United States and beyond. Lauren won the Doris Duke Artist Award, the Steinberg Playwright Award, and many, many more awards. She's written the book for the adaptation of A Wrinkle in Time Broadway musical, which is set to debut or premiere in June 2025. Also written for TV, maybe notably Pachinko on Apple TV Plus. Hey, welcome to the show, Lauren Yee.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. Where are you calling in from today?
I am in New York, where
Ah,
I currently live, but we share, at least San Francisco's my hometown. I don't know if it's you identified as your hometown.
yeah, fifth generation San Franciscan.
Wow.
Actually, do you know where I am right now? Can you guess where I am?
I am not sure, but I was like, I feel like I've seen those like blinds before.
Yeah. You know why? Because I'm in a public high school in San Francisco. I teach at Galileo.
Both my parents went to Galileo, and pretty sure all my aunts and uncles went there too.
I was gonna guess.
It was the place. It was the place for like the Chinese American community back in the day.
100%. Yeah. If I meet anyone from San Francisco Chinatown or North Beach, and from anywhere from their 40s all the way till their 90s, they probably went to Galileo. Awesome. So yeah, maybe they walked these halls. Who knows?
I was like, they definitely did.
Yeah. That's cool. Hey, we like to greet our guests in the Asian way, so it's kind of late, kind of early afternoon. But Lauren, have you eaten yet?
I ate, but probably not enough for a
Oh,
lot of people's liking. I was like running from writing to meetings to this, so I jammed some broccoli in.
okay, all right. Well, at least you have something. We'll get you through the interview at least. Can we dig into your roots?
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
we talked about it. So you were San Francisco, but how
hmm
far back do you know? How far back can you claim?
Uh, it depends how you count it.
Yeah.
So I think like the earliest my family was in San Francisco, or at least like California, was probably my great grandfather,
Uh
which was
huh.
probably kind of like maybe pre Chinese Exclusion Act, like 1870s, something like that.
Hmm.
I think he was here as maybe some sort of merchant. Like he came from kind of like Toisan, Pearl River Delta area, and he came to the United States and kind of like made his money. And he was like, I don't like it here. I'm going back home.
Yeah.
And so he went back to Toisan. He had three sons. I think like my great grandfather was like either son number two or son number three.
Uh huh.
But the money got squandered. And so my great grandfather and his brother were like, we need to get out of here. And so they went abroad once again. They did what, their dad did, and they went to North America, but to uh they didn't go to California straight away. They actually went to Mexico first. And so
Okay.
like in the 1910s,
Uh huh.
they had a Mexican cotton farm. And I think the cotton farm went belly up after a couple years. And so they magically ended up in the United States
Okay.
in the Bay Area.
Huh. Interesting.
Um, yeah, and then on my mom's side, I think it was like all of my great grandparents that immigrated here from kind of Pearl River Delta,
Yeah.
like Guangdong area.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay, that's
Yeah.
really cool. Yeah, I love these stories, and
hmm
and we don't know. We just know snippets, right? Because we didn't write
Oh
down enough
yeah.
of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And we share something else in common. We both went to
Ooh.
Lowell High School.
We went to Lowell. Did you go when it was at the current location?
Yeah. So
Probably,
I
right?
I
Yeah.
was in the 80s, so a
Yeah.
little before you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, we were on Eucalyptus,
Mhm.
and did you do theater in high school?
In a way, but different from a lot of people. So the way that I got into theater was not that I was an actor and
Mm-hmm.
loved acting. Like I didn't try out for the school play. I found that all very scary. But I always knew from a young age that I wanted to be a writer. And when I was in high school, This is going to date me very specifically. Whole families might share the same email address.
Okay. Okay.
And I, as a high schooler, would use my father's email address for like emails that people could send me. And one day, someone sent him an email um, from Asian American Theater Company looking for short plays for Lunar New Year. And it wasn't intended for me, but I saw it and I was like, huh, I bet I could write a play.
Uh-huh.
And so I did. And I sent it in through like his email address. And, a couple weeks later, they were like, hey, do you like you're one of the plays chosen. Do you want to, you know, come down for rehearsal, while we're doing this? And so I went to my dad because this was like adults. This was not like
Right. Yeah.
kids
Yeah.
doing it. And I went to my dad and I was like, I need to go to this room with a bunch of adults I've never met at night.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And he said, okay, but I'm taking you. And so he went and I was in the room and he sat down right there next to me. And I was like, this is so embarrassing. I'm trying to blend in here. I'm not trying to look 15 years old.
Trying to be cool.
Yeah. But that was the beginning of my foray into theater. I was just like so amazed. We were in like a community room in Japantown.
Okay.
In the Japantown Community Center.
Yeah.
And they were just around the table reading scripts. And I was like, this is what theater is like. I love this. And I was like, I need to learn all I can about doing theater.
Yeah.
And so out of that, later that summer, I decided I would start a theater company. And it was called Youth for Asian Theater. And I recruited all of my friends to write, direct, perform in these like short plays. And we did it for, I think, like 4 years. And then like younger people came after us and did it. But it was really like the blind leading the blind. Just imagine a bunch of people who are not like the typical theater kids trying to put on a show.
Yeah.
And, like I, as a producer, I learned a lot because like, what do you do when your actors don't want to kiss each other because it's going to be in front of their families? They don't want to swear. The stage crew is like, this chair is too heavy for me to move.
Because they're 12 years older. They're like,
I mean, I think everyone was like high school age.
Okay.
But it was kind of this like, so you're thrown into the fire of what it means to make theater.
Yeah.
And then so after that experience, like I went to college and I learned, I got a theater degree.
Yeah.
And like learned a little bit more formally about like what theater was.
I love that story. That's pretty cool. Yeah. I was going to talk about the Asian American Theater Company. I was wondering if you had any experience with them. I did a little volunteering with them right after college. And do you remember any of the names? Was Pamela Wu there or Pearl Wong?
Pam Wu was there. Pearl Wong was in a production of my play Ching Chong Chinaman when it was in Berkeley.
I did see that.
I think Joel Tan and like Joni Osato were a part of it. But also like my aunt, who is a very creative type, volunteered for Asian American Theater Company probably like in the 80s, early 90s.
Okay.
In like costumes. And so, there's just like, there's been generations of artists that have come through there.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're not totally dissolved, but they're not doing a whole lot anymore.
Yeah.
But what a history, and a lot of folks came out of there. Not necessarily come out of there, but a lot of their works were, Philip Gitanda and David Henry Wong, of course, and Kelvin Han Yi. All these people coming out of AATC.
Yeah. I was like, funny story about Kelvin Han Yi. His dad and my dad, his dad and my grandfather, so my dad's dad, were really good friends, like back in the day in like San Francisco Chinatown. And so it was just delightful when Kelvin got to know my play King of the Yees, which is all about being a
Yeah.
Yee, like the
Yeah.
magic of being a Yee.
Yeah.
And, that San Francisco Chinatown community was almost in a way like a homecoming to have him, get to see the play and be part of it and, to
Yeah.
share that history with them.
Perfect. Yeah, no, he's a friend of the program as well. We love Kel.
Hmm.
All right. So we are talking about doing a little self-made community theater in high school. But then did you just look up best drama departments in college? Like, did Yale just pop up out of nowhere? Or how did you find yourself applying to Yale and getting into Yale?
Hmm. I knew they had a good theater department, not just the grad school, but the undergrad program. I was like, good school.
Yeah.
Let's see if I could try to get in.
Uh-huh.
And it turned out to be, I was like, a good choice for me. I learned a lot. Just like I was someone who didn't have a lot of like formal training
Yeah.
going into college. So just being able to be like, what is theater?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I grew up with parents who were incredibly supportive of me as a writer and a theater maker, but like I didn't grow up so much going to theater through them. I think like probably like my biggest outlet was my aunt who, would
Mm-hmm.
volunteer in theater, but also would go see like 18 Mighty Mountain Warriors,
Right.
who would go see the shows at Theater Works, who would take me, to see Les Mis or like a Mary Zimmerman play, so I got a little bit of theater as a kid, but a lot of my culture came from TV, right? I was like,
Yeah.
we had cable TV, and I watched a lot of TV, which was good
Uh-huh.
training
Uh-huh.
for what I do now.
Yeah. Yeah. So you get to Yale and you're taking intro playwriting classes. Did you look around the room with other kids who are like, oh yeah, I've been reading Albee and I learned my whole life? Were you in these situations where you're kind of like, oh my gosh, what am I doing here? Or
I think I very much did feel like just like I knew less than them. I had come to it maybe later. And I think like I went to college at a time where kind of awareness around representation wasn't as big of an issue as it is today.
uh-huh,
Like
uh-huh,
I remember the play that I wrote for my college thesis was Ching Chong Chinaman,
mm-hmm,
which is about kind of a story about like an Asian American, like a satire about an Asian American family,
yeah,
and kind of this young man who infiltrates their life and kind of overturns everything. And when we were doing readings of it towards the end of my time there, like I did not know a lot of other Asian American
yeah,
actors on campus. Like
yeah,
within the program, I didn't know if they existed or how to do it. Like I couldn't muster enough like
right,
Asian American actors to read it.
yeah, yeah,
And and to and to think of how far we've come since then, that like if you probably ask a college student nowadays, so they'd be like, well, obviously, you're going to find Asian American actors. Obviously, you are going to demand that. But I had just like, I went to college and through that program in a different era.
yeah,
And it
yeah.
like didn't even occur to me like where to look or how to get that work supported.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I was a theater major in college too,
Mhm.
and I was at UC Davis, so not
Yeah.
we're California, so
Yeah.
we're a little bit of diversity. But for my directing class, I did a scene from M Butterfly, and I had one Asian girl, and then I
Mhm.
had a white guy, because
Yeah.
it's just I couldn't get other people to do it. Yeah,
Yeah. And I think like I am talented as a writer. I think I have put in the hard work, but I think the success that I am enjoying now is also a product of all the generations and decades of like performers and artists in the community have come before me who have like built that up, because
hmm
now it's not perfect, but it's better than it was 10, 20 years ago,
Oh, 100%.
right? 10, 20,
Yeah.
30 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just like, for example, your project Pachinko, right? Just you have this
Hmm.
stream of talent from Korea, but you
Yeah.
also have people behind it. Yeah, Min Jin Lee, of course,
Hmm.
writing the book.
Yeah.
And then you have
Hmm.
you and you have other talented people or Shogun. You just see
Yeah.
there's so much more talent out, or all these Academy Award winners or Emmy winners, from Beef to Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah.
You have talent on both sides of the camera, which is finally starting to
Yeah.
come to fruition. Yeah.
Yeah. But I recently found this book at the library um, that is a series of oral histories from Asian American actors.
Oh.
I think the interviews were done somewhere in like the mid to late 90s.
Uh-huh.
And to hear what their perspective is on like the the opportunities that they had and where
Yeah.
they saw themselves like fitting into the industry, it's bleak.
Yeah.
It's bleak that they're
100.
like like, well, now I'm getting to like audition for judge roles because of Lance Ito in the OJ
Right.
Simpson trial, or like I'm playing delivery boys,
Yeah.
but like not to where we are now of like seeing Steve Yeun be the lead and carry the lead in like romances,
Uh-huh.
in pieces of action.
Yeah.
It's a lot to be grateful for.
Amazing. Yeah. Yeah, I might, fingers crossed, I might have an opportunity to interview Nancy Kwan
Oh my
from
God.
the Bay, and
Yeah.
total experience, right? Where she got a
Mhm.
couple good roles, a couple lead
Yeah.
roles, and then it was like, okay, we want Susie Wong in every play. We want you to be Susie Wong
Yeah.
in every single play, and she's kind of sick of that, so she just quit. She's like, I don't want to do this anymore. So,
Yeah. I mean, you think of her, or like I met pre-pandemic, I met Pat Suzuki, who was,
uh-huh.
in the original Flower Drum Song,
Right.
or I once met like James Hong. And it's
Uh-huh.
like it is almost mind-bending to imagine what their experiences were like
Yeah.
in Hollywood at that time.
Yeah. Or even Kelvin Han Yi, he's been around
Yeah.
long enough. So
Oh
he
yeah.
he was in he was in Nash Bridges like 4 different times, playing 4 different Chinese criminals. Like
Yeah.
they're like, they just gave him a different name and people didn't know that he just did these roles because that's all they had. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, so we're talking about live theater though. What is it? And I think I'm going to agree with you. Whatever you say, I'm going to agree with you. But what is it about live theater that is so special to you?
I think in America, in the theater, they love the playwright's voice.
Hmm.
They support the playwright building this world that you want to build, and they're
Mhm.
like, we'll go along with you no matter what. That doesn't happen in Europe. In Europe, they're like,
Ah.
director is king or queen. Director is the one that we kind of like bow to, and we forget about the writer. So I think just like I can create these worlds that people take seriously and want to help me understand. I think as a writer, I love the sound of like different cadences and different voices. Like if you listen to my
Yeah.
plays, you you can tell whose line it is based on like the syntax and grammar and vocabulary.
Yeah.
And I love that. And
Mhm.
I also love like building stories with other people is something
Yeah.
that I really love to do, right? Like
Yeah.
I could have been a novelist or a poet,
Yeah.
but I chose to be like a playwright and screenwriter because I love it when other people come in and like take the blueprint you have and build the house. And it's
Yeah.
and it's better than you could have ever imagined because like they're putting all of their themselves and their creative abilities into it.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
I agree with you 100%. And the magic, the
Mhm.
and you seem to like a little bit of fantasy. You like to break down the realism a
Yeah.
little bit,
Yeah.
and there's something about imagining a house talking to you, right?
Mhm.
Versus
Yeah.
CGI version of a house talking to you. It's totally different. And
Yeah.
I think I agree. I agree with you. Like, just I've never seen Ching Chong Chinaman, but just reading the
Mhm.
cadence,
Yeah.
copying each other and cutting each other off, and Yeah. And you know what? That's just fun too. And this happened to me just at your play a couple weeks ago. I'm sitting next to this guy who knew all the lyrics of all the
Oh,
songs.
good. I
And
love that.
he was joining in and he was just
Yeah.
hooting and hollering at all the jokes. And there's something about sitting next to someone, like I'm a couch potato. I love watching, on my couch.
Yeah.
But there's something about being with 150 other people, experiencing this, and there's risk, something could go, a
Mhm.
prop could break, or someone can fall down at any, like live theater, something just magical about it that I just
I
always liked.
I think like live theatrical experiences can sometimes hit and sometimes miss, but if it hits in the right way,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
remember it for
Yeah.
like years.
Yeah. And it's one of a kind, right? Because
Yeah.
the night that I went, say February 15th, I went on the last preview day, is different than February 16th, and opening
Yeah.
night. It's going to be different energy, different
Yeah.
whatever. And it's one of one in a way. And like I said, I missed a lot of your other plays, and there's something about it, there's something
Yeah.
fleeting about a live show. It's only 2-week run,
Yeah.
3-week run. If you don't get it, you
Oh,
don't get it.
yeah. No, I think people who are outside of theater, the way that we put on theater is baffling to them, where especially
Yeah.
in like nonprofit theater, where it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I missed the play. Well,
Where can I
wait,
watch it?
when is it coming back again? Or how long is it coming? And
Yeah.
you're like, no, most of the time it only comes around once, and for a month. And
Right.
if
Right.
you weren't around, it's kind of gone.
Yeah. You're lucky if you get. That's why I really
Mhm.
wanted to go catch it this time, because we'll talk about the Cambodian Rock Band and all that, because it's a difficult show to stage. You can't just, like Lowell High School can't just do it tomorrow. You're like, oh, we're going to do a production of.
I was like, they could do a version of it or a piece
They
of
could,
it.
they could,
Yeah.
they could, but but you know what I mean. It's some shows are just harder to do. But all right, we'll talk about that in a minute, though. But can't help but notice that some of your plays have a little family connection.
Oh
You
yeah.
actually have a character named Lauren Yee and a dad
I
named Larry
do.
Yee.
I do. I was like, my dad lives in San Francisco, and if you are in the San Francisco Chinatown community, you might know him. He
Yeah,
might have given you a jump from his car one day when you were stuck.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or my dad was a big basketball guy
Yeah.
too. But he played more at UCSF with the dentists
Oh,
and stuff.
okay.
But I bet they might have heard of each other. Like the
Yeah.
legends know legends.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's the special thing about growing up in San Francisco, as a Chinese American, is that you grow up in the majority, at least
Mhm. Yeah,
I did. Like a lot of my schools were predominantly Chinese.
that's true.
I went around with a lot of people who looked like me. And so when I was growing up, like most of the basketball players I knew were Chinese American guys of my
Yeah,
dad's age,
yeah,
right? Like that's what I thought of when I thought of a basketball player. And it's not till I grew up, you know, that I was like, oh, that's an anomaly. Like nationwide, that's an anomaly, right?
yeah.
Jeremy Lin was such a phenomenon because people didn't expect him
Right,
to do that.
right. Yeah. For your topics, I noticed a little bit of a mix, but you lean a little heavily on your heritage.
Mhm.
Do you feel like representation is a choice for you, or do you kind of feel like it's just you write what you know, and you kind of lean towards writing about things that you're familiar with?
Yeah, I would say it's a little bit of both. I think it's things that I can emotionally connect to, or things that um, I'm intensely curious about and a little obsessed with,
Uh-huh.
because I think there are things in my writing that, are quite far from my lived experience. I write a lot about communism in Asia in the 20th century, and
Right?
I did not experience that firsthand, but I have seen the ramifications of it uh, in my life, and like the kids who surrounded me, going to elementary school,
Yeah.
or kind of thinking about um, like other communities. So
Yeah.
I think it's a mix of things that feel very close. Like I've written plays literally where there is a character named me, And I've written plays, like the play that I'm writing right now was called Mother Russia, and it's about two Russian buddies during the fall of the Soviet Union. And
Hmm.
that is far from who I am.
Yeah, yeah. Which is allowed. You can write about things
Yeah.
that you didn't live. Yeah, sure. Do you have a favorite part of the process when you're writing a play, from
Yeah.
a spark of an idea
hmm
till opening night? What's your favorite part of
Yeah.
this process?
I think like the two favorite parts I have are the moment when it goes from the spark to having a play, right? That
Uh-huh.
usually what'll happen early on is like, I'll have a spark and I'll be like, oh, this world, the world of my father, or basketball. That's really interesting. That should be something. And there's a moment where, like maybe I'll be working with a director and some actors. Maybe we'll just be reading some pages together. When I realize, I was like, oh, this is how it is. This is like, it kind of like ignites. And I'm very quickly able to like sketch out the bones of what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually that dissipates and I enter a very long period of like the valley of despair where you have the bones of this and you're like, well, what does it mean?
Yeah, do the
How
work.
does it all fit together? And so it goes for a very long time.
Yeah.
And then eventually I'll come out of it and be like, wait, I think I know now. I think I know how this fits into that. And I was like, okay, I think I have a good play. And that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't always happen. Um, but when it happens, it's so satisfying.
Mm.
Because you wish that your brain was linear and progressive,
Sure.
that you're like, I wrote it, and then each time I worked on it, it got better. But in
Yeah.
playwriting, you have to go down like blind alleys and wrong turns. You have to like
Uh-huh.
write a draft and realize it was wrong and go back and
Uh-huh.
figure things out. And, it's not just me thinking about it, it's me talking with a director or actors,
Oh,
or like
yeah.
you hear actors reading it and something that you thought was good is not very good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I read that Cambodian Rock Band took 4 years or more.
Yeah, I think from the moment I was discovered the music of dengue fever, um, to having an idea for what the play was 4 years. And then it took another 3 years to go from like, okay, I know what the bones are, to like having a production.
Wow. Okay.
And
Okay.
that's not a bad trajectory for a play.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it takes a while.
Do you have like 7 different notebooks going on at the same time for ideas and stuff like that?
I have one notebook for everything. So
Okay.
it's like whatever I'm feeling that day, including like my grocery list, like goes in the notebook.
Nah, that's probably one way to
Yeah.
do it, because
Yeah.
otherwise you get distracted.
On snai bong, tong te ta on snai bong, on snai bro bong, jiu na mo hai, snai tra trai, chora nai bong.
All right, can we talk about some of your plays?
Sure.
Yeah, I'd love to. So I was going to ask you if Ching Chong Chinaman was a college project, because it kind of felt like someone's debut. It just felt like someone who had some ideas that they had been stewing, and I loved it. I think it's fantastic. Did you get strong reactions from that play, from from the community, or maybe even outside the community? What were your reactions to that play?
Sure. And I think like the reactions have changed over time. Do you mean like in terms of the title or the content?
Yeah, either. Yeah, audience reaction or even just the
Yeah.
title, or
Yeah. I mean, I think people like when they've come and seen the show have had like an amazing time. It's like very fun, right? The characters are accessible. You feel like you kind of know someone like this. And I think like
yeah.
in particular for like Asian American audiences watching it, they get the in jokes, they get the things,
Yeah.
that I experienced growing up. And I think for the title, like I think I've had pushback from people. I think it's changed over time because I
Mhm.
think when I first wrote it, um, there wasn't like in popular media, there wasn't an awareness around Asian American representation
Yeah.
and the way it is, maybe like 15, 20 years after I started writing that play. And I think like now people are like very in tune to like what it means to like represent Asian Americans. And I think, like there are people who are like, you shouldn't use any of these words to talk about your racial identity. You should take it and put it in a closet, and we should just not use it. And I think for me, I was like, the play is going to be named what it should be named. I think, to me, I feel like I think it is better to hold up something that hurts and examine it and look at it and say, this is language that has existed and has been held against us.
Right.
And not to say, let's pretend this never happened.
Yeah.
Let's ignore it. I feel like there is such a desire to put forward this idea of Asian Americans as completely like positive, never have any problems, never had anything wrong with us.
Yeah.
We don't want to explore any of this language that has been weaponized against us. Right. And I disagree. I think we should look at what's been painful, because otherwise, how are we going to learn from it?
And claim it. Yeah, claim it back. Get some power over it. Yeah. Agreed. And I should mention, so these plays aren't always easy to see because you got to catch it when you catch it. But I did a trip down to the main branch of the San Francisco Public Library, and I cleaned them out.
Wow, cool. Oh, good.
I got them all.
Good.
I got them all. Yeah, so you can get them from the library. You can read them. Reading plays is fun. I've always liked reading plays more than novels, just because it's so alive and so active. But so if you can't see a Lauren Yee production, you can go read one for sure. So we're bumping up against the clock a little bit, so I definitely want to talk about Cambodian Rock Band. Unfortunately, I think this episode is coming out after the East West Players production. Unfortunately,
we closed March 23rd. We just announced an extension, so we'll see when this comes out and when you listener might be listening to this.
Yeah, dear listener out there, hey, if you're listening to this before March 23rd, go see it. You will not regret it. Super fun show, full of energy. It is different than all your other plays, obviously.
Yeah.
Sort of not based on a true story, but there's a character in it. When did you hear about Deutsch?
I learned about him pretty early on. So before I started writing this play back in 2011, I went to Cambodia on a trip. Not to write this play or anything, but just like to kind of see more of the world. And I went to Phnom Penh's S21 museum. And for anyone who doesn't know, S21 was a prison under the Khmer Rouge that was specifically designed to kind of quote unquote like root out bad actors,
right,
and eliminate them, murder them. And the person in charge of this place was a man named Doik. And I think like just touring that prison, it's very chilling because it was like a former high school.
Yeah.
It was a former high school. So like all the cells kind of look like classrooms.
Yeah.
And it's deeply unsettling. And I think like the more that I learned about when I started writing this play, I dug into like that history and learned more about Doik. And just like he is a really chilling and difficult and character with all sorts of layers of history to him, because the real life person was a math teacher who then became radicalized and began working for the Khmer Rouge. And the things that he was trying to eliminate, right? Like popular music, intellectualism, glasses. He knew all those things, right? He was a teacher. He knew about Western art. And one thing that he would do is in the prison, a couple of the people who survived survived because they were artists, right?
Mhm.
That they were painters, and they were asked to paint like giant murals, kind of celebrating Pol Pot. And the strangest thing would happen where Doik would be watching them painting, and he would come up behind him and he would talk to them about Western art. So, like the very thing that he was supposed to be eliminating, and these prisoners were supposed to be kind of denying they knew anything about,
Right.
he was engaging them in this conversation. And it's like very strange and chilling.
Mm.
And I wanted to dig in, like, who that person was, because also the thing about him is that the reason why he was caught, he was like the first official to be tried for crimes against humanity, is because he did his job too well.
Uh-huh.
Many other of these prisons existed around the country, but his was the best run with the best documentation. He was a math teacher who like showed all his work, right? Like when they were abandoning the prison, there was just literally too much paperwork to burn. And so there was all this evidence against him. And that is why he was tried. But he was also tried because when a journalist came looking for him, he kind of stopped and said, like, yes, I am that person. I did that.
Huh.
And that's how he was arrested. And like he was like, let me tell you in a whole interview what I did.
Oh man.
And so like he is not the only source of evil
Mm-hmm.
in that regime, but he was the first because of his own actions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this story, it's kind of hard to summarize without spoiling it at
Mhm.
all. But it's multi-generational. There's a little bit of jumping through time. There's a rock concert all throughout. You're
Mhm.
hitting
Yeah.
amazing music. Written mostly all by dengue fever.
It's about half dengue fever and then half Cambodian oldies of
Yeah.
that era. So like the Sensissimal, the Rosre Sotia, Yal Alarong.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So good. So good. And so yeah, if you go to this show, you're in for a treat. You're gonna get a concert, you're gonna get a play, you're gonna get a family
Mhm.
drama, you're gonna get a little bit of history, you're gonna get a little bit of everything in this show. So definitely go
Yeah.
see it.
And I know that to anyone who does not know the show, it will sound like I'm lying, but the show is funny.
Yeah.
It is, I was like, is first and foremost about like a father-daughter relationship
Mhm.
between this daughter who wants to understand her family history and her kind of goofy dad joke father
Yeah.
who is just trying to give her the slip.
Yeah. Can we give a shout out to Joe No? I mean, it's his role,
Jono
right?
is the man. He embodies that character with like such craft and
Yeah.
humanity. I don't know if there's ever been an actor who's had to do like that much in a
Uh-huh.
single show.
Agreed. Yeah. All right. Well, we are up against the clock, but everyone out there, if it's before March 23rd, go to East West Players. I couldn't believe this is the first time it's playing at East West Players.
Yeah.
And so right down there in Little Tokyo, go get some sushi before it. Head on over to the theater. It's such a great night. All right, we're going to close with a quick little, we used to call it the lightning round, but I like to chat too much, so I'm going to call it now your Asian opinion. So I want to get...
Ooh, okay.
It's a yow. We're going to get your Asian opinion. All right, your favorite Asian American play not written by you.
Oh, God. Language Archive. That's a Julia Cho play.
Okay.
Or Christopher Chen's Caught.
Okay, great. What's a play or a musical that you could watch over and over and over?
Oh, that's a great question. I've watched a lot of Cambodian Rock Band.
Sure.
Because I never tire of those actors.
Yeah. I'm gonna definitely go see it again.
Yeah. I feel like what else? I'm working on a new musical, Wrinkle in Time.
Right.
that I will watch over and over again. And I feel like anything Sondheim.
Yeah, I was gonna say Into the Woods. I can see Into the
Yeah.
Woods over. Yeah. Okay. Name an actor that you would love to work with.
James Hong.
Okay.
He is still working and kicking. So call me
90s.
James.
Yeah, 90 something. Yeah, come
Yeah.
on. Okay. And our signature question is we ask our guests who their infatuation is. Anyone in the Asian community that you admire? So Lauren Yee, who is your infatuation?
Oh, this is like just like love and shout outs.
Sure.
I would say like my brother, Joey
Okay.
Yee.
Joey
He is a deep San Franciscan who
Yeah.
kind of has put out his channel of videos about life in San Francisco. He does like a whole one on San Francisco's Sunset District. He does a whole one on like the businesses on Clement.
Yeah.
And I feel like he has like such an eye for like what it means to be a San Franciscan.
Love it. Love it. Yeah. No, there's no problem picking a relative for sure.
Yeah.
All right. I think that just about does it for our show. You can follow Lauren at Miss Lauren Yee on social media or laurenyee.com. Is there anything we can keep our eyes out for? So Wrinkle in Time over
Wrinkle in Time is coming, and I have a play Mother Russia, which will be in Seattle.
Okay.
In a couple of weeks. And and I recently worked on the show Interior Chinatown, which is on Hulu.
Yeah.
Highly recommend it.
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah. No, we've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Forgot that you were on that. Okay, so you can see something that Lauren's done somewhere in the world. I'm going to recommend Pachinko. Pachinko is such a good show.
It's gorgeous.
I mean, gorgeous.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Shogun too, but come on, there's room for Pachinko.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Lauren. This has been a real treat chatting with you.
All right. Thank you, Curtis.
All right. Well, I'll catch up with you one of these days. Next time you're in San Francisco, let us know. We'll catch up.
I would love that.
All right.
Thank you. That was an excellent interview. I feel like you've asked questions that like nobody ever asks me.
That's my goal.
I appreciate that.
Yes, mission accomplished.
I was like, I'll see you in San Francisco.
Come by, yeah.
All right.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.